Transition. Hey,
What's going on, guys? Look who's back.
Oh yeah, it's crazy. It's been like at
3
least
weeks?
an episode or two. Yeah,
4 weeks?
probably about 4. I mean, I popped in on that one episode for like 2 seconds.
For a little bit.
But
Well,
yeah,
this is Beneath the Surface, a nerdy ass podcast where me and my co-host, whoever randomly
to
happens to be that week, talk about all things nerd and what we do in a gaming store, and that's kind of where we're at right now. We're in Deep Dive Games in St. Mary's, Georgia. So Tyler, my friend, my buddy, my pal.
How's it going, Nick?
It's been busy,
yeah,
really busy.
You've been moving.
I bought a house, and
Yeah.
so I have been packing and moving furniture and pulling my hair out because taxes and insurance and all that jazz.
Yeah, all fun adult things.
Fun
that people
adult
have to do.
things. Now I don't have money for my hobbies.
Classic
What have you been up to?
work.
That's it. Just work.
A lot of work. Been playing Endless Space 2 recently. It's a really good game.
Mm.
But I don't think you want to listen to me talk about an RTS for an hour and a half.
I mean,
Because I can get into the nitty gritty.
honestly, I haven't really been playing a lot of video games lately.
That's like the one.
I played Grounded for a little bit, and then a friend of mine from work, who's up in Virginia now. Hi, Kat, if you ever see this. I convinced her to pick it up, so
Yeah.
her and her boyfriend picked it up, and so now me, my daughter, and those two guys, we play together.
Did you see that they announced a sequel?
I know, I'm so excited
Yeah.
about it. It looks good,
I haven't
and
watched the trailer
they're finally introducing rideable bugs.
Oh, really? That's
Yeah,
going to be part of the
one
sequel?
thing that everybody's been asking for from the first game, and they're like, "Oh, I don't know, we can't really do it." And then like the
They're like,
sequel
"Oh,
was
we did
like
it."
the first thing that they worked on was
Yeah.
like, "We're gonna give you mounts now." So.
Which is sick. Yeah, no,
Dude,
they've
it's
announced a lot
super
of stuff.
exciting.
That's-
And I heard it's gonna be like 4 times as big.
Which is crazy.
'Cause,
It's a
like,
decently big game.
Yeah, no, it's a pretty sizable game, and
Yeah.
I'm not a huge fan of like those survival crafting games. Like I
Mhm.
like them, but I'm not a huge fan of them,
Yeah.
especially because for the most part they don't really have a lot of direction.
No, yeah, you just you have to make your own fun.
Right, you just kind of have to make your own fun and whatnot. Like I liked Valheim for a while.
Yeah.
I played that. I like the whole Viking
Yeah.
aesthetic and whatnot, and hunting down like the ancient gods and whatnot. So that was kind of cool. But with Grounded, there actually is a story
Yeah.
that you can follow.
Well, that's what I told you. Like, the last time I played a game like that, it was Raft. And that's what I liked about Raft, was that there was a story you could follow.
Yeah. There was
Um,
like signals or something that you
Yeah,
could
you
track
follow
down.
the signals, and yeah, and it gets like pretty difficult at a certain point. But yeah, like, I had a lot of fun with that. But yeah, they announced a ton of stuff over the weekend. I guess with Summer Games Fest.
Yeah.
You know, Jeff Keighley got up on stage and went, "Oh my god,
I
my
haven't
best
watched it
friend Hideo Kojima."
Oh yeah.
he did an entire show.
The god,
just
the
for
god,
Hideo
the man
Kojima.
god himself.
Yeah.
Hideo Kojima.
He gave him an entire show just to talk about Death Stranding, and I don't think they said anything about the game, really. They just said, "I'm really happy and
I'm really
excited
happy.
for it."
I'm really excited.
But-
What's it about? I'm really excited.
Well, because it comes out, I think, in like a month.
Yeah.
A little over a month. So,
I mean, as far as I know, like that was a pretty popular game.
I really
um,
enjoyed the first one. I
Yeah.
know it is not.
I know. I know you were a big fan of it. I thought it was very innovative. I thought it was very
Yeah.
innovative. I liked the whole like procedural like world generation.
Mhm.
That like the more people do certain things,
Yep.
it affects everybody's
Yep.
world.
Stuff shows up in other people's worlds
Right.
as it develops.
So I thought that was pretty neat. Like
It's,
that, where
it's a
just basically
strand
like a
type
global-
game. That's what he kept saying. It's the first strand type game.
Strand.
Strand.
So like,
Like
Death Stranding.
Yes, for
yeah.
strand type. Now there's going to be the
Strand type.
second strand type game.
Oh, okay.
He's cornered the market.
Mhm. Yeah.
But-
How far does he have his head down to sniff his own farts? Pretty far.
Pretty
Pretty
far.
far.
Pretty
Okay.
far.
Anyway,
Uh,
not exactly what we were planning on talking
no,
about today.
I figured I'd throw it in
Yeah,
there.
it's fine.
But so we've had a lot of card game releases recently, and it's been a little overwhelming.
I would say. I mean, we just did our pre-release for Final Fantasy, and
Yes.
we have already completely sold out of a product. I think I see one box
of
of
booster
play
packs.
boosters.
Yeah.
Play boosters.
I got those
because
in this
We
morning.
completely sold out
Yeah.
of the collectors.
Yeah, those went like
completely sold out of the commander decks.
Yeah,
all of them.
those
both
were
the
pre-ordered
collectors,
out.
both the collectors and the regular
yeah,
ones.
those went before I even had them in store. People were just pre-ordering.
Yeah.
I sold out of the starter decks. When was the last time you heard of a starter deck selling out?
I haven't. because
Yeah.
you usually pick them up at like Walmart.
Yeah,
Or
like they're
Target.
gone. Like this is Wizards has already said this is their biggest selling like set ever.
I mean, you're talking about a pre-established IP that already has a massive following,
Yes.
a massive fan base, and you're introducing pretty much entire casts
Mhm.
of like the most popular video game series, I would say almost of all time.
Yeah, I mean, I think
Like
Final-
Dragon Quest is really huge. It has a worldwide following, but it is not as immediately recognizable as Final Fantasy.
Yeah,
At least not in the States.
because of like especially because of like Final Fantasy 7
Right.
and
7
13,
was so popular,
14,
13.
15 has been up there more
Yep.
recently. 10, I know 10's
10
a huge one.
10
for a
was
lot
a
of
huge
people.
one because it was the first one on the PS2.
Yep.
But and also you got Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah,
So you have a
which
whole
also-
nother franchise that also introduces a lot of the same
Yeah.
characters and whatnot.
But yeah, it's been selling like crazy. I mean, the set's a lot of fun. The cards are great too, which I think helps a lot. It's not
Yeah.
like they just took a bunch of junk and then slapped the recognizable faces on it. They really got down. They designed the cards around like what the different characters represent.
Right.
And it feels very thematic and flavorful. But I mean, yeah.
I mean, the other thing, and then let's not forget the the giant gorilla in the corner.
Mhm.
The fact that it's a Universes Beyond set that is now standard legal.
It's the first one, which is really going to set a precedent moving forward.
I'm so glad I got out of Magic when I did. I really am. Because
I mean-
don't get me wrong, I love Final Fantasy, but at the same time, the idea that they're taking a Universes Beyond, a non-Magic IP, and making it a standard set, just
Yeah.
it doesn't sit well with me.
I get it. It's definitely an adjustment. I think we'll really see how it goes with time. Final Fantasy is at least an IP that, for the most part, can kind of fit into Magic.
I mean, it can.
because it's still
I'm
a
not disagreeing.
fantasy first.
Don't think I won't come over this table at you motherfuckers. I mean, excuse me, that's my one for the show.
You really picked one, huh?
I did. I picked one. Picked one.
We have some people playing Warhammer right
They're
on the
playing
other side of this
Warhammer
table.
and they're
They're
funny.
playing with their laser pointers. Oh well, we got a comment from someone. The Morphling.
Compared to the Lord of the Rings set, the Final Fantasy one, they did a much better job this time around. I mean, I agree.
I think thematically, yes.
I
but
think thematically, yeah.
I think part of it is, though, they have so much more to play with Final Fantasy. Like,
Yeah.
Lord of the Rings is cool, but Lord of the Rings is the basis of like all modern fantasy.
Yeah.
So it's almost like it's the grandfather that you're dealing with, and that really doesn't give you the same sort of
Well,
building
and
blocks. You
it's-
can't change too much because Lord of the Rings
Right.
fans will
I mean,
freak
well, they
out about
definitely
stuff.
did.
Oh yeah, they freaked out about several things.
I
but
mean, they definitely changed a lot
they did.
of stuff.
They did. But I mean,
At the same
I'm fine
time,
with creative
at the same
liberties.
time, it's a very like narrow theme, right? It's a very narrow story. It has very narrowly defined characters. At least with Final Fantasy, they can open it up. Yes, you have like the legendary characters. You
Yes.
have all of the heroes and things like that. Cloud and Tifa and Terra and
yep.
and all the villains, really great
Yeah.
villains like Kefka. Kefka's honestly my favorite villain.
Kefka's great. His card is amazing too.
Yeah, as far as I've seen, he's like a really good card too.
Yeah.
And at least with Final Fantasy, they also have the option for like the monsters.
Yes.
There are a lot of monsters. And There are
Yep.
a lot of variety of monsters in the game, and then you have like variety of equipment because I mean it's an RPG.
Yes, so there's so
equipment
much.
comes into it. So it really does kind of lean itself easier to adapt to a
Yes.
magic setting, a magic set than Lord of the Rings really did. I mean, let's
It's-
not forget the One Ring was kind of meta
Yeah.
warping when it came out.
I think there are several cards from this set that are going to be very meta warping as well.
I mean, Vivi.
Vivi, I don't think Vivi's going to be as crazy as people have made him out to be.
I don't think he's gonna be crazy in a standard format, but in modern, he's gonna be another infinite mana dump.
Theoretically, I think the cards that are really going to be crazy, Cloud. He's just better Stoneforge Mystic.
Oh yeah, he's a better Stoneforge Mystic, 100%.
As far as like commander and stuff goes, Absolute Virtue, I think, is a card that people are sleeping on
Hmm.
because it just doesn't die.
Yeah.
Uh, Sephiroth.
I mean, but Sephiroth has always been super strong, so
I mean,
like
it's
his card being really strong
yeah,
just kind of makes
isn't
sense.
surprising. Like we just said, Kefka. I think Kefka is going to be really strong.
Yeah.
Terra, as
Do
well.
you think any of these cards are going to push through the boundary of CDH?
Uh, that's hard. That's always so hard to figure out
Mm-hmm.
because we have discussions like this. I feel like every set, like, oh, this card's gonna be the CDH like
Right.
meta warper.
Because I mean,
and
you remember like the way they've changed their power level system is now the tiers
instead
and
of
it's all like game changers and whatnot.
yeah, instead of like that super arbitrary like, oh, out of 10, like every deck's a 7, right?
Right.
Like that was always the meme.
Every deck's a 7.
Every deck ever has just been a 7.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter how crazy top tier
But
CDH
now they
it
actually
is.
like define what your game changers are and what tier of play you're playing in, depending on what game changers you're playing in a deck.
Yeah. But as far as CDH goes, I'm really like actually racking my brain on this one now. I could see the mono green Tifa potentially seeing some CEDH play because she's
I
a
can
one
see it.
drop.
I could see it.
I think she's a 2 drop actually.
She's a 2 drop.
2 drop commander, which already up there. She's mono green, which hurts.
Yeah, but I mean, mono green Savalo has always been a thing.
Yeah, and plus the fact that the way her ability works is landfall, you're doubling her power.
Right.
You can start to set up some really dumb stuff with her. You can see some turn 2, turn 3 kills with her pretty easily, I think.
I think the problem though with Voltron commanders, they really have a hard time pushing into that CDH level because Voltron commanders usually can only kill one person at a time, whereas most CDH you are looking for the most efficient win possible.
Yes. You have to find a way to kill 3 people.
You have to find a way to kill 3 people at the same exact time, or just end the game in your favor.
Which actually, on that, I am reminded of who I think the CEDH
that mono
all-star
black
is.
guy.
No, actually, Noctis.
Noctis. No, the
He's
Noctis.
Esper.
That's the guy I
Yes.
was talking about.
Esper.
Yeah,
he
I
has
forgot he
a
was
clear infinite
Esper.
with just him, Mox Diamond, and an Aether Flux Reservoir.
Yep.
Mind you, we're talking about a $600 card,
Sure.
but when we're talking CEDH,
Yeah, CEDH. I mean, either
irrelevant.
they're gonna proxy it or they just have it already.
or I mean, you can even set it up for cheaper by just using
And
a
he's
Vexing
Esper,
Bauble.
which is
Yeah.
one of the strongest color combinations in CEDH right now.
And you can set up the budget version of it by just incorporating Vexing Bauble, and then you use like a Lotus Petal or any Cheerio.
Literally any artifact that counters the 0 cost spell or a free spell.
Yeah. So I think who is it? One of the Lavinias does that as well. Azorius Renegade, I believe, will counter things if you don't pay mana for
right
it.
into the deck.
Yeah. There's a lot of tools you can use to get that
Chalice
going.
of the Void.
Chalice of the Void.
Just put it down for 0.
Yeah, and then it goes. But I mean, if I had to pick anyone, it would be him. He's
I
my
think,
number one.
okay, yeah, no, I agree. I agree with his ability and with the Aether Flux combo being such a strong combo in the deck, and he's in the right colors for it because you got black for tutors, you got blue for card draw, you got blue for artifact tutor,
And you have white for
you
a
have
lot of
white
removal.
for removal, you have white for enlightened tutor. So you've got so many ways to tutor up the pieces of that combo that it's just
what we've seen so far. Obviously, it's pre-release pricing right now,
right, of course.
but the secondary market's reflecting it. The borderless foil Noctis is like $90. So we'll see how it shakes out once the set's fully released.
Don't get me wrong. I have been seeing a couple of like the fancy Wamidine full art foil versions of cards are going for $300, $400, $500. But
I pulled the Yuna Surge foil borderless, and that was like $360 at the
Yuna's
time.
a popular character.
Exactly. And the Yuna card is pretty good. It's pretty good.
Honestly,
I don't think it's
I'm waiting for the hype
insane,
to die down because I want the fanciest version of Vivi that I can get.
Yeah.
Because I love Vivi.
Yeah.
I don't give a crap about it being a Magic card. I don't care what he does. I have no intention of actually playing with him. I want it because it's Vivi, and Vivi has always been my favorite Final Fantasy character.
See, and that's been the biggest thing.
What up, Beer Chug Champion?
What up?
Welcome to the chat. Welcome to the show.
I also think that's one of the biggest things that we're seeing with this set is there's so many people that are purchasing it and interacting with it that are not Magic players.
Yeah.
They are either Final Fantasy fans that also happen to dabble in Magic, or they are just someone who wants to collect.
Yeah.
You know, I'm personally trying to collect all the FF14 cards. My girlfriend wants most of the FF15 cards.
Yeah, but well, you guys are fans of those games.
Yeah, like
like I tried to play 15, and I literally didn't get past the gas station in the very beginning of the game.
15 is one of those games.
I didn't like the mechanics. I just didn't like the main character. I didn't
Mhm.
like the mechanics. It didn't feel like a Final Fantasy game. It felt like I don't know. I don't know.
It's a road trip.
It felt like a road trip.
It's a road trip game.
And
Like,
I didn't like it.
it's definitely a game where if you enjoy the idea of like you're trekking out in the woods, like it's you and the boys, you know, just living it up, like roughing
Honestly,
it.
I just didn't like the combat style in that game either.
I think the combat left a lot to be desired.
Yeah,
but
the whole
it was,
little like teleporting around mechanic that he did.
I thought that was cool with the ring of the Lucy or what Lucy, I don't know. I think it's the ring of the Lucy. Um, that let him do the warp strikes all over the place. Like I think that was neat. It gave you a lot of movement and it made it feel kind of fast.
Just so you know, I'm Nick the Red. I saw your chat in here. I'm Nick the Red, and that's Turquoise Tyler.
Yeah, nope, don't call me that. Just
100%.
Tyler. Just Tyler. But I think it was a good building block for what.
He
16.
also answers to T Money.
I answer to a lot of things. I kind of just, as long as it's, nope, okay, now it's sticking. I hate that. Hate that. But I think with FF15's combat, it kind of walked so that 16 could run.
Yeah.
Where
No, I've heard 16 was better. I didn't see anything about it. One, because I don't have a console, so I'm on PC.
Yeah.
And I have no intention of buying a console. It's not that I'm like, oh, PC Master Race. It's because I bought a PS4 and it sat on my shelf for 6 months, and so I sold it. Then I bought an Xbox One, and then it sat on my shelf for 6 months, and I sold it. And I bought a Switch, and it sat on my shelf for 6 months, and then I sold it. Because the games nowadays coming out are so few and far between of those like I have to play that.
Yeah.
I literally bought an Xbox One to play Jedi Fallen Order.
Yeah.
And that was it. And as
And
soon
then
as I
that came
done
to PC.
playing, right. And as soon as I was done playing that game, I friggin' got rid of the Xbox.
Yeah.
Because there was nothing on Xbox and nothing coming out that made me want to keep playing. Because it's a lot of these games nowadays are just live service games.
Yes. And they expect you to, they every game wants to be your only game.
Unfortunately, Bunny is still sick. She still has the crud.
It happens.
And Braden is currently working on some shelves to make us a break room.
Yeah, he's building. He's building away.
So it's just the OG crew.
Yep. But no, because I've owned, over the lifespan of the Nintendo Switch, I've owned 3 Switches.
Yeah.
I bought one around the time they came out.
About the same for me.
Yeah, I bought one around the time they came out. Picked up like Breath of the Wild and a few other like of the exclusives at launch.
Yeah.
Played through them, had a good time, and then didn't touch the system.
Honestly,
so
Breath
I sold
of the
it.
Wild was the only Zelda game that I actually enjoyed playing.
I mean, I'm not a Zelda fan to begin with, so
Right,
I'm not going to be
exactly.
offended.
Exactly.
But I will stand and die on this hill, even though Legend of Zelda is not a game series that I am very partial to.
Sure.
I think Breath of the Wild is a great game.
Mm-hmm.
It is a terrible Zelda game.
I would agree with that statement. I would agree with that statement because it does not feel like a Zelda game.
No, and that's fine.
And that's probably why I enjoyed playing it.
And that's fine. It isn't. It doesn't have the same structure. And
Right.
Zelda is a game that's it's like if in Mario. Well, I can't even say that because Mario Odyssey came out, and that was an amazing
Mario
game.
RPG.
Super Mario RPG was also an amazing game.
I love the
don't know.
7-star story.
Yeah. But I don't know. It's one of those things. But yeah, so I bought one at launch.
Mm-hmm.
It sat for a few months, and I went, I could do something with the money from this instead of it just sitting here.
Right, exactly.
Sold it.
That's kind of my mentality.
And then I ended up buying another one around the time Smash Brothers came out.
Same.
And played it for a couple of months with my friends. Everyone quit playing Smash. It sat. Sold it again because what am I doing? And then the last one I bought a used Switch. And then I also got Metroid Dread.
Yeah.
Because I was super excited. It was another 2D Metroid game. The first one in forever.
Right.
It was, it was being put on a first-party console. It wasn't relegated to the DS or whatever. And that game was amazing. Like, that was probably one of the best Metroid games I played. Besides, like, Prime and all that.
See, there were a lot of, like, side games or third-party games that I actually did enjoy playing. Like, I played Dauntless for a while, which I really enjoyed playing. I'm not a big fan of Epic Games.
Yeah.
Right? I'm not a fan of Epic Games. I feel like a lot of their business practices have been kind of really slimy.
I get it.
But at the same time, Dauntless kind of scratched the itch that Monster Hunter
Yeah.
used to. And I hadn't played a Monster Hunter game since Try.
Oh,
And
wow.
so So a lot of it, like I tried to play Worlds, and I really, really did not like Worlds. I felt the mechanics were really sluggish. I felt the
Yeah.
controls were really
Have you
sluggish.
tried Wild?
I have, and I've played the crap out of it, and
Yeah.
I've actually enjoyed the new ones as they come out. And apparently, Rise was really good too. It was
Rise
very
was
similar.
okay.
So I got it for free when I got Wild, so I
That's not
figured I'd
bad,
go
yeah.
ahead and I might try it here eventually.
Because
But
that's
that no, I played Dauntless for a while. I had Paladins for a while
Yep.
just to check it out because it was like the Overwatch clone.
yeah.
Um, I'm not a big MOBA fan, honestly.
Paladins I played a little bit. But here's the thing, and this was the big
Don't you
like thing I
Fletcher
had
me.
to. I'm gonna Fletcher you.
Don't
I'm gonna
Fletcher
Fletcher
me.
you real quick. What I realized with my Switch, because I tried a few third-party games as
Yeah.
well. All of the ones that I played, I had the realization probably about like I don't know 5 hours in
Yeah.
of this is more fun on my PC.
Mm-hmm.
It looks better on my PC.
Yeah.
Um, and mouse and keyboard is just kind of I don't want to say the superior way to play games, but it is a
But it
very
feels like you give you more control.
you have a lot more control.
Right.
So especially when I'm playing like a shooter,
Oh, yeah.
I have to use mouse and keyboard. I cannot use a controller anymore. Um, but yeah, that's just what I ran into, and it's not like, and a lot of those games are online only,
Mm-hmm.
so I lose that on the go factor that the
Right.
Switch has,
Right.
because I'm stuck to being at home or on
Or,
Wi-Fi somewhere.
or you have to put on Wi-Fi, or you have to turn on a hotspot on your
which
phone.
good luck trying to play Apex Legends on your Switch with a hotspot.
Yeah,
you know, like you're
that's
gonna have a
not gonna
terrible
happen.
time. But that was my big struggle, and I realized I was like, the Switch is a cool console. I'm
Right.
sure the Switch 2 is going to be a fun console when people buy their $187 games.
Yeah, it's not gonna happen.
Uh,
No, well, I'm not doing
You know,
it
my
anyway.
friends have been. I've had some friends that they got their Switch 2s already. They have been playing the crap out of the new Mario Kart. They're having a blast with it.
Yeah,
It is just not my thing.
I feel like that's the thing is that the fact that the price point on it is higher.
Yes.
The fact that the price point on all the games starts at $100, which it's ridiculous that we're paying $60 for video games and they're not even complete games anymore.
I think the price point is it isn't $100. I think the price point is 70 digital, 80 physical, which is still high.
I don't know. I've seen people talking about it. They're like, yeah, the games are like $100.
They're up there. There was talks of $100 with all the tariff stuff initially because
Yeah.
they didn't know how that was going to shake out. But
And that's the other thing
announced-
too. Is like that's kind of crappy to kind of voice
Yeah.
that off onto us.
Correct. I feel like it's how a lot of that shakes out, though.
I mean,
But,
it's always going to,
Yeah.
because the companies are not going to
no, they don't want to hurt
eat
their
the
bottom
cost.
line.
Right.
But games are such a weird thing, and I promise we'll talk about card games again. But this is a
I know.
soapbox I have to get
I was sitting
on.
there thinking about it. I was like, man, I put tags on this thing for like Star Wars and Nerd
I know,
Chat,
and we talked about
we've been
Final
talking
Fantasy
about
T- we
everything
talked
but
about
Star Wars.
the Magic set for about 10 minutes, and then
Yeah.
we're right back here. But so the thing with video games that's crazy is we're honestly getting video games for a steal at $60 with how much development time goes into them and the price points that these things are ballooning to. Like they're blowing movies out of the water.
I got
with how
a
much some
point. I got
games
a point I
cost.
want to make on that. Just but finish your thought.
And yes, I don't want to be one of those people that's like, well, you should buy your $80 slop and be happy about it but it's like there's got to be a happy medium somewhere where obviously people don't want to pay people have tried to say that GTA 6 is going to be over $100 when it comes out.
Yeah, screw that.
That's ridiculous. But there has to be a happy medium somewhere where the studios make the money that they need to keep rolling. But
So
you
I'm
know.
gonna make a point on that. I think we get video games at a steal for $60, $69.99, whatever,
Yeah.
$70 for the physical media.
Yes.
The fact that 99.99% of these companies will release the same exact game digitally
At the same
and
price
still
point.
charge you $70 for
Yes.
it is 100% ridiculous.
And-
because a lot of the cost going into making a video
Is
game,
making the
besides
disc.
development and whatnot, is actually the physical media and
Yes.
shipping it out.
And the thing that really gets me too with a lot of physical media these days is you buy the disc and you insert the disc and then it just downloads the game.
And then
to
it
your
just
system.
downloads the game anyway.
So the disc was irrelevant.
the disc was 100% irrelevant.
And there's another point to be made with like indie games being so popular now. A lot of your AAA titles keep flopping.
Oh yeah,
But
but
then you
I
have
I feel like that's the tone deafness of the companies
yes,
making them.
but then you have solo dev, John in Croatia, who's making a 20, who makes a game and releases it for $20. Um,
Yeah, go check your food.
who
Sorry, my
releases it
kid's
for
sitting over on the side saying she's hungry.
he releases his game for $20 and it sells like crazy. 5-star reviews, 10 out of 10s across the board,
Mm-hmm.
and that's like becomes game of the year. This past year at the Game Awards, Balatro was up for game of the year.
Balatro.
Balatro.
I just remember that
Yeah,
little
that
interview with
whole
the
little thing.
guy
It's
that was
Balatro.
dressed up as the jester.
Yeah, that
It was
was
like I was informed it's actually pronounced Balatro.
that was Ben Stark, the voice of Clive in FF16 and Gustav in Expedition 33.
Hmm.
Very, very big name voice actor. See, I brought it back to Final Fantasy a little
There
bit.
you go.
I brought it back. Clive's a really good card in the set. But okay, I'll stop talking for 5 seconds. Tell me about the new Star Wars set. We can segue into that finally. We can talk about some Star Wars.
I mean, I'm gonna say this much. I'm pretty excited about it.
Yeah.
I feel like we're getting a lot of really cool tools. It's called Legends of the Force, so it's focusing heavily on Force characters, Force sensitive characters, Jedi, Sith. You also have there were 15 cards that were spoiled that are Legend cards, which is this is the first time we're getting Legends content with anybody who's not a big Star Wars fan. Basically, when Disney bought Star Wars from George, um, they basically decanonized everything that it was not the movies. So all your books, all your side content, like Heir to the Empire and stuff like that, the Timothy Zahn books, all of those got decanonized.
Yes.
So it all became what's known now as Legends. And so even a lot of the older video games like Knights of the Old Republic and the Old Republic, um, Star Wars Unleashed,
You're telling me
The Force
Star
Unleashed.
Killer is no longer a canon
They're
character?
not considering canon unless they've been shown or mentioned in a movie or a current TV show made by Disney. They're not considered canon anymore. And Disney's even
sad.
going back and like messing with the established canon too.
Yeah.
So basically, anything that's not Disney or has not been approved by Disney and Dave Filoni is now considered Legends content. So they did spoil that we're getting 15 Legends cards. One of them being Darth Revan himself, which I'm
is
super
exciting.
excited about because Revan was my
Revan's a
favorite,
cool character.
especially playing in the Knights of the Old Republic.
Yeah.
And then, like I said, the set basically focuses a lot on the Force and creature synergies. So
Okay.
creatures is a trait in the game. We haven't really seen any support for it, but we've gotten some decent ones like the Rancor
Yes.
and the Bendu.
Yep.
Those are creatures and things like that we're seeing. And so a lot of the leaders are now focusing on either Force or creatures, or they have the new mechanic called Hidden. It's kind of you can't attack that unit. It's there, but you can't attack it until the next turn.
It's almost like stealth in Hearthstone.
It's 100% stealth in Hearthstone.
Okay. Where stealth worked is you couldn't attack the creature until it had already attacked.
Right. Effectively, it's kind of like that, except this one is just for one round. You can't attack it. You can still target it with like removal or with damage or things like that to get rid of it, but unless you're running like hard removal, there's not really much of a way for you to get rid of those creatures.
Which is interesting. It's going to definitely help a lot of your like mid-range creature focus.
Oh yeah. It's going to be a lot of
strategies.
Drop in hidden creatures, and then being able to buff them up.
Yeah.
And then when you get the chance, the next turn, you can then swing with them.
Yep. And I know just before we started streaming, you mentioned a little bit of controversy with this set as well that came.
Oh yeah. So Fantasy Flight's been really good about keeping to their schedule. Honestly, I'm a huge fan of Fantasy Flight and how they're handling this game. It's 3 releases a year, and that's it. They're not doing any side sets. They're not doing any, extra stuff. They did just recently in the last set introduce the Carbonite packs.
Yes.
Which are, to be fair, they are designed for collectors.
Yes.
They're not meant to be a product for your casual player. they still are doing like the regular sets, the regular cards, and they've actually made it so that you can get starter deck cards in the regular
Yes,
boosters.
thank
So
God.
they're making it a lot easier to get those. And the carbonites are specifically for like collectors.
Yeah.
And sure, like your casual guy might pick up one or two, and they're a better pull rate for your foils, for your
Yep.
for
You get
your
your alt art
hyperspaces,
legendaries and-
your showcases
Yes.
for your leaders. Um, but so what ended up happening apparently is that somebody got a hold
Mhm.
of the cards and the images for the cards before they were officially being spoiled.
Ooh.
And that's the thing, is that they have a very strict schedule that they do spoils for, because it's 8 weeks of spoiler season, then the set launches, right? And then you have 8 weeks of weekly play, right? And at the end of weekly play, you get store showdowns.
Yep.
And then you get 8 weeks of competitive play,
Which feeds into like planetary qualifiers.
planetary
and stuff like that.
qualifiers, your regional championships, things like that. That's like the competitive play. And then at the end of that, we start the next spoiler season for the next set. And so it's basically 3 months, 3-ish months. Basically, we get a set in November.
Yep.
We get a set in March. We get a set in July. And it's March,
Boom,
July,
boom,
November. March, July, November. And it's always going to be that way. And the in between is when we get like spoiler season, stuff like
Yeah.
that. And they've consistently been releasing cards like every Tuesday.
Yep.
They released a set of cards. Well, somebody apparently went in, found the images, or stole the images, or hacked the database, something. They somehow got these card images and just leaked them all online. And so the SWU database, Star Wars Unlimited database, got a hold of those images, posted them up in there. Carabast, a third-party program website that you can play a digital version of the game completely for free. It's unassociated with Fantasy Flight in its entirety. They got those images, and now you can play with those cards. And
Yep.
so Fantasy Flight basically said, well, great. If you're going to leak our cards anyway, we're just going to release the entire friggin' set now.
Yeah.
With no fanfare, with no like, um, with no spoiler shows or anything like that. Because
Yeah,
usually
they're just like, "We'll just dump it."
they do a weekly podcast.
Yeah.
Where they release like these spoilers, and they talk about the game, they talk about the upcoming events, and they talk about the mechanics, and kind of go in and explain things and whatnot. And this time around, they were just like, all right, well, if you're just going to steal the stuff, we're just going to release it all anyway.
Yeah.
So it's
it-
kind of a bummer, because it kind of feels like it's a slap in the face to
Yeah.
Fantasy Flight. Like, don't get me wrong, I like being able to know what's coming up, because then I can kind of brew and toy
Yeah.
with the ideas and things like that. But at the same time, Fantasy Flight has been treating the community really well.
Yeah, they've stayed very consistent with their release schedule, even with the Carbonites. Something I can add on to this, because it was a conversation I had with our rep
Yeah.
through Asmodee, who does a lot of the distribution
yeah.
for the game.
Yeah, because
He
Asmodee
was-
is the one that prints.
He was
prints the game.
explaining to me that a big push that they're making is they are reducing the quantity of Carbonites that are going to be in circulation.
Yeah.
Because they felt like they weren't happy with the way that they kind of flooded the market initially. They overprinted it, and they don't want the Carbonites to so heavily impact the values of foils coming out of normal packs and the
right.
value of showcases. They want the game to flourish. They don't want people to feel like they're getting less by buying a regular pack.
Right.
So they're committing still to the one print run only.
Yep.
As they did with last time. There's only one print run and then it's done. You're not gonna come out a few months later
Right.
and go, oh, more Carbonite.
Which honestly, it feels kind of crappy as a collector, as somebody who likes collecting the fancies for the game.
Yeah.
It feels kind of crappy, because it feels a lot of FOMO.
Yeah.
If you don't rush out and get in, and then it's going to end up spiking the value of a lot of these cards.
Yes.
Because you can't get the prestiges anymore if they don't have them printed anymore.
Correct. But again, people always have to remember it is for collectors.
Right.
It is not for the average player. Are
Yeah.
competitive players going to have their decks fully foiled out and blinged out?
probably.
Of course. But not everyone is a
Ironically,
top tier competitive player.
I've talked to a lot of the more competitive players at these PQs that we've been going to. Our Star Wars team has been going out to PQs pretty
Yep.
regularly. And I've talked to some of them, like from both the network. I've talked to some of the guys from. I think we had one or two guys from actually KTOD. Two to base. You guys are great. We love seeing you guys every time we come out. If you guys ever see the show, please give us a shout out. Hit us up in the comments.
Yeah.
Um, a lot of these guys, they are more hunting just the regular hyperspaces
Yeah.
because just like any other card game, the full art foils, the hyperspace foils, tend to curl.
Yes.
And it's harder. Like you're towing a line when you take a foiled out deck to a tournament. So I've noticed that the regular hyperspaces tend to actually be a little bit more pricey for the more regularly played cards.
Yeah.
So
It's it's just one of those things because, like you said, it's a nice variant,
right,
but without that risk of
without the
foil
risk of
curling.
it being curled.
Because I don't think they can make a foil that doesn't curl this way. I mean, One Piece does a pretty good job of it, but One Piece, the card stock is
The card stock is thicker, and that's the thing is that a
Which
lot of these
saves
cards
them.
are very thin. It's very light weight card stock. One Piece tends to be the thicker one. One Piece is so thick that I don't even inner sleeve
No, there's
for
no
One
point.
Piece. There's no point.
I regular sleeve and outer sleeve my cards. I think that's plenty of protection. Um, Speaking of One Piece, that's another release we got.
Yep.
OP11.
Segue into your your OP11.
It's my weeb stuff.
We're only one set away from being caught up now.
We are actually
Because
caught
then you
up
say,
now.
well, I thought you said that 12 was going to be the time
The
when we actually
starter
caught up.
decks are technically our catch-up point, which starter decks just
Gotcha.
released last week.
Yeah, and we still, surprisingly, we still have some. It's crazy. I actually thought about looking through them and seeing which ones were still here and seeing if any of them were like worth picking up.
That's what happens when I order in a metric ton of them.
That's true. I think this release has been the one release we have seen so much extra product showing up.
Yes.
That we've actually got
Kept
enough
it.
product and we've kept product in.
Like I've had my people be able to come through and get restocks.
Somebody told me I should look at the Blackbeard deck.
You might like Blackbeard.
I'm an aggro player in that game.
If you like aggro, the Yamato, green yellow Yamato, she is the most aggro, punch you in the face type of deck up there.
It's a
she
very
just
simple
goes.
strategy, and I like my mono red.
Yeah, I mean that's how it plays. It plays like mono red.
The only thing is that I'm not intending to invest a lot of money in that game. I'm cutting out pretty much all of my other games except for Star Wars because I am such a Star Wars fan, and if there was a term for Star Wars fans, I would proudly wear it. I'm not as weeb centric.
Call them 4Cs.
4Cs?
4Cs.
4Cs?
It's like bronies,
Yeah.
but for force.
May you rot in hell for that thought.
Let that one linger around. You call me
Uh-huh,
turquoise.
let that one
Turquoise
marinate.
Tyler. I call you 4C.
Turquoise Tyler. Now that's just gonna be set in stone.
I hate it. And now I'm never showing back up.
I'm probably gonna drag you on here again at some point.
At some point. But OP11's been a great release.
Yeah.
The cards have been awesome.
Well, that's something I've always said about the game is that every new release kind of has something for every deck that's out there, but it's not really a game that a single set is going to allow you to make a deck. You really do have to pick up cards from dang near every set. You did mention before something about a rotation was going to be happening.
Yes, rotation was announced at the our World's Championship. This was a couple months ago now. They're implementing it. I believe it's next year is when it's really going to start to kick in.
And what is it going to get rid of?
We will see I believe it's OP 01 through 05 will go. That's the first thing that will leave. And that will happen.
And is that everything from 01 to 05 and all like the extra decks in between?
Yes.
Okay.
All of that stuff. They have already said though that they will be doing reprints at some point of certain key cards.
Sure.
So if
most games that do a rotation like that tend to also reprint a lot of the same cards. I mean, Star Wars does the same thing.
Yes. And they will. I'll have to look up the dates again for exacts, but they're going to slowly roll them out, and it seems like they're going to take stuff out in chunks.
Are they going to rescind their rule against Japanese cards now that we've?
They haven't said anything about it yet. I think they may leave that instituted just because it cuts down on the miscommunications.
Right. I could definitely see it. I mean, because if they did it the other way, then Japanese cards would become easier, I guess, to obtain. Some of
Yes,
the
they're a lot
rarer
cheaper.
cards, the cheaper card, the more
Um,
expensive cards have cheaper versions because they're
yes,
Japanese.
and part of that might be though if they unbanned them, I think the cheapness would go away, and it
Probably.
would negatively impact both markets.
Probably.
So I think they want to leave them
Because they would probably
separated.
lessen the Japanese market, the quantity of the Japanese market,
Mhm.
and it would probably make because they're not going to buy a bunch of English cards.
Generally no. There have been times in the past where it's happened because of certain promos or the way foils work, little things like that. Like our pack sizes are larger compared
Mm.
to theirs.
Like the number of cards in a pack.
Yes, a pack of One Piece is normally 5 cards.
Mm.
That's normal for Japanese packs, though. They do 5 to 7 cards in a pack, as
Right,
opposed
right.
to
Very Yu-Gi-Oh ish.
10 to 12. Yeah, very Yu-Gi-Oh esque. Which that type of stuff can have far-reaching issues.
Mm.
Um, when
See,
you
I
start to
wouldn't
intermingle
see
them.
any issue with like them using English cards in their tournament circuits because all of our stuff is just stuff that was already printed in their
Yes.
stuff.
But again, I think it's a nice keep everything a little bit divided. We
Yeah.
also have to keep in mind there are other markets that they think of. There's the Chinese,
Mm-hmm.
Chinese, Korean,
That's
and
true. I mean,
German.
if they rescind the one and don't rescind it for the other markets would have to also be in line with
Yes.
Japan's release.
Because right now Korea is not caught up to us. We're not on global just yet. It's not
Mhm.
true global.
Mhm.
It's just that English is now going to be is caught up with Japanese. I think English and German are caught up to Japanese. Oh my
Excuse
god,
me.
you still got the crud yourself a little bit.
Just a little bit. It's like it's coming up though.
But because last I saw, I think Korea is only in like EPO 1, OPO 7. Like they're still a step behind.
Oh, EPO1.
EBO 1, extra
EBO1,
booster,
gotcha.
extra booster 01, which was a long time ago.
I was
for
gonna
us.
say like the set one, Jesus.
Yeah, no, EBO 1. Yeah, they're slowly working their way up. They have an
Mhm.
accelerated release schedule to get them caught up, but it's gonna take some time because they can't just dump it all in one go.
Sure. How's it been doing in the store lately? Because I haven't really been here for when One Piece is usually.
We have a very
off.
consistent crowd, anywhere from 6 to 12 players a week. We're actually going to be hosting a Learn to Play July 5th at 3 p.m. Because we've just
Wouldn't
had
be
so
bad.
many people, and I've had these Learn to Play.
Well,
decks.
yeah. I mean, you got learn to. Oh, you actually have learn to play decks
Yes,
now.
they sent us Learn to Play decks
Oh,
a
wow.
few weeks back, and I've been just trying to figure out when is a good time because
Mhm.
the thing that's been so awesome about this community is everyone has been so engaged with it.
Sure.
The second I mentioned a Learn to Play, so many people jumped up and were like, "Hey, I'll help out. I'll do this. I love teaching. I
Sure.
want to do this. I want to do that."
I think the biggest
Um,
thing is like getting the information out there. So you heard it first here. If you guys regularly watch our show, we're going to be doing a learn to play on July 5th. I believe that's a Saturday, right?
Yes,
Yeah,
Saturday
yeah.
at 3 p.m. It'll
Saturday
be
at 3.
right before it'll run right into regular weekly
Run
play.
right into weekly play. So you can come in, learn how to play the game itself, and then jump
from
into
there.
weekly play if you
Yeah.
want.
But it's just one of those things, and it's something that I never saw with Magic when I first got into Magic.
Yeah.
But Magic was already such a pre-established game,
I think that's the problem with it, really.
and that's been the struggle that Magic has always had, where it's become so big.
Yeah.
It's hard when you have someone come in that goes, "I've never played Magic before. Where do I start?"
Well, see, and that's why I like when they send us the welcome decks because
Yes.
I'll grab a couple of welcome decks
And
and
you
I'll
sit
just
down and you go.
here, boom, grab these two.
Yep.
These have these themes. This is this theme. I liked they used to send out. I don't know if they still do. I don't know if we have any. They used to send out the color wheel
Yes.
that kind of gave you short descriptions of what each color did, what each little kind of color
Yep.
combination did, what the kind of themes were, and I felt like that really helped. But the biggest thing, the biggest weakness I think Magic has is because there are so many popular formats between Standard, Modern, Pioneer, Commander. I mean, Oathbreaker hasn't really gone off anywhere for a while.
Tiny
but
leaders.
Tiny leaders, draft, sealed.
Sealed, big ones.
You've got all of these different formats, and the game does still use the same rules. It's just each one of these formats also have now special rules that you're adding to it. And so, like for us, for example, our store, unfortunately, Commander is the most popular format in our store. and our weekly plays, our Friday night weekly plays are commander format. And
Yeah.
if you get somebody coming in and they want to learn how to play, 9 times out of 10, they're going to need to
Get a commander deck.
get a commander deck, and they're going to have to learn that format, which doesn't really teach them how to play Magic. It teaches them
No.
how to play Commander, and
they're
because there's so many variant rules to Commander versus regular play.
it really changes things up. But yeah, comparatively, you have a game like One Piece that has you have constructed and you have limited.
Yeah, Star Wars. You have Premier and you have Twin Suns.
Yeah, because we don't even have like a commander-esque format in One Piece. I don't think
Right.
we ever will.
No, because I mean it basically is.
Yeah.
Already, like
Because
you
you have a
have a
leader.
leader.
Um, keeping an eye out over there.
I was gonna say he's kind of looking a little perturbed because he's having to stop in the middle
I
of
would
it.
say, if anything, hey, do you want to talk for like 5 minutes by yourself? Keep everyone entertained while I go jump up and deal with that.
I mean, we got about 15 minutes left. We can just kind of end it a little early. I know we started a little late, guys. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. The episode's going to be a little bit shorter this week. We've just been kind of busy.
It's been it's busy. It's a busy
been
time.
super busy lately.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what, we can go ahead and end it in about 15 minutes, which
Okay.
is when we usually end in about 6:30 anyway.
Yeah.
We just kind of started a little late. Sorry about that. So you get an hour of us today instead of an hour and a half.
Yeah.
Um, I think the last thing we should probably talk about is just some upcoming events that we have coming up in the store.
Just give a quick
Anybody who's
rundown.
interested, we'll give a shout out to our Warhammer team.
Yes.
They're slotting up for tournaments, and they're actually getting their
Valdosta is
stuff
this
putting
weekend.
together. Yeah,
GT
Valdosta is
in
this weekend.
Valdosta.
So good luck to you guys. They're kind of standing right there.
Yeah.
So good luck to you guys.
Oh my God, he hit the lean. His glass will fall off.
Our Star Wars guys
they're
are
gone.
getting better,
Yeah,
but
they're
we're
getting
kind of
better.
we're kind of at the end of our competitive kind of season for right now. We're waiting for the next set to come out before we actually kind of get any further into like the competitive scene. But
Yeah.
we're putting up numbers. We're kind of
We're working
making a
towards it.
scene. I've heard that our Magic team is kind of taking off.
Yeah, they're starting to getting rolling with it slowly
So
but surely.
good luck to you guys for the next big tournament coming up for you guys.
Yeah,
When is our next RCQ?
Next, I'm still scheduling it.
Scheduling it.
Still scheduling
Well,
it.
you know,
This has been a
you might
this is
wanna
a busy
jump in
month.
on that.
It's a busy month. July will also be a busy month. So
yeah.
it's kind of
I mean,
finding
it's
a spot to
summertime,
cram it in.
so it's not
Yeah.
not surprising.
Yeah. Our next Warhammer RTT will be July 29th.
Yep, end of the month. It's always the last Sunday of the month. If you
Yes.
guys are looking for our scheduling, we pretty much schedule them a month in advance. We put them up on Best Coast pairings. And yeah, just go look us up on Best Coast. I believe the page is just Deep Dive Games, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Normally, if you just look up the local area, we'll be one of the first ones
Yeah.
that pop up.
If you're in the local area. If
Yes.
you're not in the local area, just look us up under Deep Dive Games.
Yes.
You should find us under BCP.
Yeah.
And that'll kind of just keep a lookout for it because those spots they go
fill up
quick.
quick.
They go quick. We've got a decent amount of local players that really enjoy playing Warhammer here, and we're going to be expanding soon, getting a few more tables in
Yep.
so we can start hosting a much larger crowd.
Yes.
Right now, we're only looking at about 18.
You say only 18, like that's not.
I
a
say only
big
18, but
event.
that's 9 tables,
Yes,
which
that's
is
a lot of
quite a
people.
few people. But yeah, so be on the lookout for that kind of stuff. Do we have anything major kind of coming up other than that? I know this coming Friday is going to be our Win-A-Box tournament because we had to
Yes.
postpone that 1 week because of the Final Fantasy
Final
release.
Fantasy pre-release. Yes. This Friday will be Win-A-Box, and then moving forward, we've also made the change to our regular non-Win-A-Box weekly FNMs. No more game changers. We've officially implemented that. No game
Good,
changers.
good, because I was talking about that with a couple of our local players, and they were kind of really getting bothered by the fact that every time they show up for like a regular FNM, they just get blown out of the water by people that bring their game changer filled freaking CEDH level or high powered, not necessarily CEDH. I know a lot of people confuse high powered with CEDH, but effectively it is the decks that they bring to our Win-A-Box, which is by its nature, supposed to be a high-powered format,
Yes.
and they just get blown out of the water on a Friday. And so, like, they were. I was talking with Tyler Little, one of our
Yes.
local players, last night. He was helping me move some stuff, and he was talking about how like he showed up, and he's gotten to the point where he's not sure if he even wants to keep coming back for a regular F&M.
Yeah. I get it. And it's one of those things where it's always a difficult discussion because no matter how much we restrict people, I don't want to say restrict, but how much we try to curve
Mm-hmm.
people who are just going to bring in like these super high power decks,
Mm-hmm.
you can't curve skill.
No.
Obviously someone who has been playing for 10, 15, 20 years is always going to have a bit of a leg up on someone that's only been playing for a couple of years.
Right.
But we want to do what we can to kind of level the playing field a little bit because
Right.
collection size plays a big part, and a lot of people have these game changers not because they have the money to spend on just buying them outright. It's because they've been playing so long.
Right.
They've played when the sets came out. They pulled them naturally
Yeah.
out of packs.
A lot of my game changers came from that.
Yeah.
Like my original demonic tutor came
Yeah.
from the fact that I opened it in a pack back in the day. You
Yeah.
know, I've been playing since the game came out.
Yeah, but it's just one of those things, and I think that this is a step in the right direction. We'll see how it plays out. If it ends up not doing what we want to do, we may revert it in like a month or so, just to
I would say you need to have at least a couple of FNMs
let it
to
play
let it
out.
kind of mellow out.
Yeah.
Are we restricting it to a specific tier or just flat across
Just
the
no
board?
game
No
changers.
game changers
There's
at
no
all.
game changers.
So hey, if you're thinking about coming down and playing with us on Fridays, be sure to look at the game changers list.
Yeah.
It's constantly being updated. They're changing it. They're moving things around. Sometimes things are getting added. Sometimes things are getting taken off.
And that's why I decided to pick that, was because our big thing was we can't just ban specific cards,
Right.
Because that would feel targeted towards players at a certain
Right.
point. And by banning the game changers list, it's the same thing as looking at the ban list.
Right.
It's just an additional list to look.
You got to look up
at,
the list.
and
And I really
it
feel
keeps
like
everyone on the same level.
I really feel like the ban cards list, other than the cards that are obviously meant to be banned because they
Yes.
just don't work, or they're cards that run off of a mechanic
Yes.
that is not allowed anymore.
Yes.
I think a lot of those were just because they were basically game changers.
Yeah.
They were cards that just made it an unfun experience.
Yes. So I think we'll see the ban list restrict down and the game changers list grow over time.
Mm-hmm.
But who knows what Wizards is doing at the end of the day.
Yeah. So,
but
like I said, be on the lookout for that. If you guys do plan on coming in, make sure you take a look at that game changers list, because we're gonna be here, and I'm not gonna say that we're gonna police it, but if somebody comes to us and is like, "Hey, this guy's running game changers in his deck, and we're not doing game changers," we're gonna
That's
ask
where
you
we step
to
in.
you're done. You're
Well,
done for that round at least.
yeah, I'll say the current rule that I've implemented is if someone casts a game changer, someone calls me over and goes, "Hey, they're playing game changer," we're just gonna sub it out for a basic.
Yep, you get
So
a basic.
You may have spent 8 mana to play a forest.
Congratulations, you got a forest.
And I think that's something that
I think it would be.
people a
I
lot
think it would
more.
be fun to do it as a random basic land.
Just a random.
Just a random basic land.
And I think that's something that sticks with people a lot more than if I just go, "Oh, well, you can't play
Yeah.
anymore." But
Yeah.
if you accidentally if you forgot this like expropriate or something,
Well, and then the question becomes, what happens if it happens more than once?
that's where it could step into.
Yeah, that I
game
think at that point that's
losses,
like, okay, you're
because that's malicious
You're
in
done.
that, potentially.
If you want to keep playing today, you can, but you got to go through your deck and pull all your game changers out.
Yes.
Because like I said, we're not making people bring deck lists.
No.
We're not going to be sitting there hovering over people, watching everything. You, the community, is going to have to come to us and let us know, hey, this guy cast a demonic tutor, this guy cast an expropriate, this guy cast any of the
Yeah.
other major game changers.
But yeah, I think that's the right step moving forward. But otherwise, those are our
And
events.
it's not like we're trying to make people just play with precons, because that was something that I heard.
Yeah, which I
a
had not.
gripe from some of the more competitive-minded
Yeah.
players. They're like, "Oh, well, you just basically want me to use a precon." No, you can still play a constructed deck. There are still plenty of cards in this game to build a theme or a constructed deck or a fun deck, and not be filling it with a bunch of game changers.
Yeah, I mean it's not hard.
And I mean,
It's
really,
not
like
hard.
even if we just allowed one or two.
Which
You're
again,
talking about one or two cards in a deck of 99
Yeah.
cards. So I don't know. It's something. It's probably something we're going to be experimenting with a little bit more, playing
It'll
around
take
with,
a
just to
lot
kind
of
of see where it levels up. But I think that's a good. I think that's a step in the right direction. I think it's a good move to say across the board no. See how it plays out.
Yep.
See how people like it. If people are not liking it, then obviously we're going to make some adjustments. Well,
Yeah.
maybe we'll go, okay, you can have 2 game changers now, and move on from there, just to kind of see where it kind of falls out.
Yeah.
Play that for a couple of weeks. See
Yeah.
what
And
people say
we'll
about
find
it.
our happy medium.
We
somewhere.
will find our happy medium at some point. But I feel like that, if it wasn't because of some of the things that I already have stated I don't like about the game,
Mhm.
one of the biggest issues of me not wanting to play in the FNMs was definitely because
Yeah.
of the whole, like, I would want to bring a fun deck
Yes.
to enjoy playing a
And-
game,
Yes.
by definition, something you're supposed to be having fun with, and then sit down and, turn 3 you won because you had Thassa's Oracle Demonic Consultation.
And it's just one of those things where it feels bad because of how long games of Commander can take.
Right.
That if your game ends early, you're kind of just stuck.
Now
waiting.
you're just sitting there waiting for
and
everybody
that's
else to be
and
done.
that's the exact opposite of fun. So I completely understand.
Yeah.
That. But yeah, that's our schedule for the month.
I mean, I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward
Yeah.
to the release, the next couple of releases. Oh, speaking of which, do we have any updates on the Gundam game?
Next month.
Next month. Okay.
Next
Do we have
month.
like a date, a tentative date?
I'm trying to remember because I just looked at the calendar earlier today because I was checking to make sure no new events.
Because I'm still looking into it.
I want to say it's mid July is when we're getting released. So it's like I think I want to say it's like July 13th or the 15th.
Okay, so like maybe early July is when we're gonna get like the preview stuff.
Yes.
Are we actually getting like intro stuff?
They've already done a lot of the super beta type things.
Sure.
Which have showed like a selection of the set. Beyond that, I don't know how much we've really been shown. It's been kind of a pain to track down because dealing with Bandai, they're not the most communicative.
As we've seen with One Piece.
Yeah, they do a lot of their spoilers in Japanese only. They don't do an English variant of the spoilers.
It was more like the learn to play kind of stuff.
Yes.
Are we getting some of the learn to play stuff?
They're not sending out a learn to play, but we are getting starter decks.
Okay.
We're getting a ton of starter decks.
And I would assume like the starter decks are very basic. They kind of go over the stuff.
Because it's set 1. So
Yeah,
it's going to
set
be
1.
straightforward.
Totally going to pick up a Death Scythe if they have a
That is
Death
one of
Scythe
them.
starter decks.
That
Oh
is
my
one of
god.
them. It's wing. It's all wing focused.
All wing focus, the best one.
Yeah.
I only say it's the best because it was like the first Gundam that I ever watched.
Yeah, there's a white base starter deck, so it's all of OG Gundam with RX-78 too. There is the Char.
Oh my god, I love Char. Char's like my
deck,
favorite.
which is all Zaku's and Red Comet focused. There is the Gundam Witch from Mercury, I believe, is one of the other ones, which is
I'm
newer.
not familiar with that one.
That's one of the new series.
Who was the guy who was basically Char in Wing?
I can't remember. I never watched Wing. I was not a Wing fan.
He had long blonde hair,
I know who you're
helmet,
talking
red
about.
jacket, and,
Yeah.
he piloted Tall Geese.
Yes.
Because Tall Geese was the freaking man. I love
remember-
that.
I
Gundam.
know the one you're talking about. I was never a big.
I'm gonna have to go back and rewatch
Wing fan.
Wing now.
It just didn't hit with me the same way.
I think my favorite one that I watched was probably the favorite one for as far as storyline went was 8th MS Team.
8th MS is amazing. I
really
think
like
is
that
one of the
one.
best ones because it's way more grounded.
It's more about the people and less
and
about
the scale,
government.
The scale isn't as big. It's a lot
Right.
more. It's that
and I
reduced
love the
down.
love story in that one.
Yes.
The love story in that one was really good.
It's also where we get one of the best mobile suits ever. Ball shows up, gets a full episode.
Yep.
I really like Iron Blooded Orphans. Is a great one.
I never saw that one.
Very much worth watching. It's an alternate universe. There's no beam weaponry. It's all kinetics.
Oh, okay.
So it's a bit more gritty.
Right, gotcha. Like more bullets,
Yeah.
less laser beams.
There's no lasers. Lasers don't work. All of the armor adapted to just deal with lasers, so they're back to kinetics. So it's big hammers,
Gotcha.
swords,
Not like the
bullets.
beam sabers, but
Nope,
like
an
actual like swords.
Yeah, that's a
Let's
really
see.
interesting one. I also
The other one that I saw was G Gundam. I saw
G Gundam.
some of G Gundam.
yes, G Gundam was cool. G Gundam's
So we're
a
gonna
nice
get
little-
like a Shining Gundam, Burning
not
Gundam.
yet.
That's probably gonna
Maybe
be later.
maybe in another set. I've already signed us up for an event for GDO2, so they're already working on it.
Awesome.
But
I'm looking forward to it. Definitely, keep everybody updated.
I will.
I might have you pop in every now and then just to keep everybody
just
updated.
throw something out there.
Just to throw something out there, like especially when we get the starter decks in and we can crack one open and
mess around
with it. Because I think that would be a smart idea. Is as soon as we get them in, crack two of them open
and just
demo it out.
Yeah, I'd be down for that. I think it'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
But all right, we are.
Well, that is us for today.
Yes.
Like I said, unfortunately, sorry guys, we were a little bit late this afternoon. We kind of got hung up on stuff. I'm moving. My other co-host is still sick.
I have just been busy.
Unfortunately, yeah, he's been
a
busy.
lot of ordering and
Braden's been busy trying to knock out that break room before he goes on his vacation.
He's leaving tomorrow, so that's why I appreciate him even manning the counter a little bit for this past hour.
Yeah, especially jumping in because I've definitely been seeing him looking our way.
Yes, so.
All right, guys. Well, we appreciate you guys showing up, watching the show, joining us again this week for Beneath the Surface. I'm Nick the Red, Turquoise Tyler.
Hate that. Tyler. Just Tyler P.
Love you guys. We'll see you guys next week.
Take it easy.